Tony Stewart is now just the 25th man in history to wear a NASCAR Winston Cup Champions ring. Who'd have thought at lap 3 of the Daytona 500 Tony Stewart would be champion? But when it's all said and done, after 14,353 miles of racing, Tony Stewart's the champion.
How'd that feel?
That was awesome. I mean, that's, you know, obviously getting in the sport and winning my first race in '99, that was your goal after that. And we finished it off with winning a championship. So.
All right, the next couple of years feels like there's some friction going on with your team members. What's going on personally, or what's behind all of this?
When you're a competitor and you win, it's like feeding a beast. All you want to do is win more. So I felt a lot of pressure after winning that first championship that I needed to back it up. And it just seemed like the next couple of years I couldn't do anything right. It's like I got in a portion where we had a slump, and then it got to the point where I was trying so hard to make things happen that I was forcing mistakes that I shouldn't have forced myself into. But I forced myself into mistakes, got into it with other drivers, you name it. It was a bad period.
Who kind of brought you back to your senses?
Well, I think it was a combination of people. I mean, Joe was a good calming influence, the best he could be. I got invited to the NASCAR hauler a lot, that's like going to the principal's office at school. So when you finish the race and they say, yeah, you need to go to the hauler, it's like, oh, shit. You know, and so when you saw Mike Helton in there, that was the principal, and he didn't smile, and he didn't joke around, and they always had the same seat for me, which ended up becoming my seat in the hauler. When they got their new trailer, they embroidered my name on that seat. So, you know, I spent a lot of time with Mike, and Mike was actually the one, I think, that of most people that was around me at the time, Mike was able to kind of put things in perspective and eventually start calming me down a little bit.
And at the time, your crew chief, I think, helped a lot.
Yeah, Zipadelli was, Zippy was, he was like my big brother. And I mean, we would argue on the radio during races, and you would think that when the race was over, we were going to kill each other. But 9 times out of 10, when I would get wound up, he would notice it, and he would see it coming, and he would say something to try to kind of get me to reset in the car.
Are you enjoying racing at this time?
No, not at all. It had become a job. And like I said, the pressure to perform at that time in the sport was incredible. I mean, it was, like I said, after you win a championship, you feel like if you're not winning races and not winning championships, that you're going the other direction. You're going backwards.
Did you ever talk to other drivers about that pressure? Was there anybody, an elder driver, veteran driver?
Mike Wallace came to me one day, and I didn't know Mike, and Mike's Rusty Wallace's brother. And he came over to my motorhome, and he goes, hey, can I talk to you? I'm like, yeah. So we went outside, and we sat in 2 lawn chairs outside the motorhome, and he told me a story about his first son. And he was backing out of his driveway and backed over his son and killed his son. And he goes, I don't know what's bothering you. He goes, I know something's bothering you. He goes, whatever it is, it's not that bad. And I have never forgot that conversation. And Mike and I are great friends. But, you know, for him to come, nobody made him come. Nobody reached out to him. I mean, he just noticed I was struggling. And, you know, for him to come and tell me his story was, it put a lot of things in perspective. He's like, you know, you get to do what millions of people want to do every week, drive a race car.
How did it change you as a driver?
It just put it in I think it just helped me focus, and it took a lot of the pressure off. I'd forgot why I was driving race cars and why when I was 8 years old, I started driving race cars.